Crypto Patriots, let's go. Crypto Patriots, good morning. This is Captain Crypto. Hope you had a good weekend. For those of you in the United States, a good long weekend. And thank you for spending your time with us. We salute you for your interest in our channel, spending your most valuable asset with us, your time. We're here to serve you, changing lives one block at a time. Our goal is to help educate, and if it makes good sense to you, our mission is to solve for the time theft that is being taken from each of you. If you join our community, You will understand that much more as you absorb more of our content. Our first goal is to add 100 subscribers, after which we will evaluate more community interaction with other apps and sources so we can maintain our contact more real time beyond just publishing live streams and videos. So please, if you like what you are receiving and finding value, smash the like button and subscribe. Also, if you have anything you wish to add to our stream or you want to join in the community and participate, please get in touch with me via Twitter or leave a comment. We are looking for more patriots. Well, we got through the weekend, and the stock market is moving up. The crypto market's moving up. You've got the El Salvador news coming in. I think it started today, but I think it officially begins tomorrow, which we'll talk a little bit about. And we still have a pretty robust end of September calendar with the debt ceiling conversation that's going to start coming into play in the United States. So we're going to talk a little about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and start introing into the market, the stock market. And we'll probably keep it brief today as we let the rest of the week start to unravel and see, what's going on. So without further ado, let's jump into the charts. And just as a reminder, our goal of 100 subscribers is so that we can basically offer some additional information and servicing. So if you find the content valuable and you like the daily live streams or the replays, for those of you in the replay crew, feel free to subscribe to our channel. All right, well, we made it through the weekend fairly up. We're having a down day today, but things generally look pretty good. So I'm going to introduce to you one additional element. And as a reminder, we're using TradingView. That's the software package that we've gone with. Currently, you're looking at the one-day chart of Bitcoin. And the item that I'm going to show you today is called the 10-day moving average. So it's the simple moving average. And basically what that is that's this blue squiggly line here. What that is the prior 10-day moves in any index that you're looking at. In this case, it's Bitcoin. So we'd be looking at the last 10 days. There's no weight given to more, like in an exponential moving average, where you might get more data being towards today versus the past. In the 10-day, we're just looking at the prior 10 days. So as you'll see in this daily chart, when you sort of look at Bitcoin, which are the candles here, you can see, other than when we get big moves down or big moves up, Bitcoin in this instance doesn't typically have a big move away from the 10-day. So where we are right now, you could argue we're a little overheated off of the 10-day, but as you saw when we came out of this last move, we stayed that way pretty much until right now. And I drew this yellow trend line. So I would say this is our new no zone, where if we fell under that and began rolling over, that would be a bearish sign. But if we stay above this line and we keep, trending higher, that would be good. And I personally think, as we look a little farther into the future here, I think that and let me say again, as you saw in my disclaimer, none of this is financial advice, and you should make sure you have your own you know goals and objectives before you take any actions. You should not ever take actions on what I think, but these are just my thoughts, informational purposes only. And as you can see, we're actually coming up to test this horizontal trend line right around 51,300. That's a very critical line because, as you can see, it goes all the way back to the prior, move higher that we were experiencing back from February. And you can see there's a lot of activity in that range. So it's pretty normal when you get up to that level that you would have some chop sideways, as either it tries to battle over that resistance line and flip it into support, which is what you could have estimated was happening. And I personally think we'll keep doing that for a little bit. So it may be a point where, for those of you looking for that vertical move, we may have to sit around here for a little bit until we start moving much higher, going up to this 58,000 level, which is, again, the top end of this channel. So we're a little over heated on the 10-day, as you can see there in the blue, and we'll likely need for Bitcoin to just take a little breather and catch up. So I don't think this is going to last very long. So again, if you're day trading, you may have to wait for us to get out of this sideways chop at 51,300. If you're looking longer term, like we are, everything generally is looking normal. So the other thing that I thought I'd just mention, and I'm not big on trends, but I do find this sort of interesting. You have on the RSI, you have maybe a shoulder, a head, and you could argue, that's a shoulder, or, maybe that's the shoulder, and we get rid of this one. Something like that, where, let me just delete that, where when you have what's called an inverse head and shoulder pattern, you would take the neckline, so you're looking something in the approximate range of, let me see here, just mess that up, where maybe around 57 up to 67, so that'd be like 10 points. And and then we move that something of off maybe that level, and that takes us up to like 80 on the RSI, something like that. So if that's the case, then we'd have to start seeing a pretty nice move on Bitcoin back into what I would start to say is like the overheated area. So again, I'll shrink this and I'm going to blow it up for just a minute. There we go. Oh, nope. Charts are not being nice to me today. Here we go. Wasn't in there. So if we got up into the 80 range, that would definitely start to get my attention. But, as we get higher into the high 80s and even into the mid 90s, that's where, if this is the last run of this bull market, we would start to see some pretty good moves there. But you can definitely see, again, a shoulder, head, shoulder, and maybe a neckline, something like that. And so we'll see in the coming days if the RSI, which has, by the way, regained the original trend line that we had marked. Let me make that a little darker. Um, and so, that still holds the key to the momentum for me. And maybe, again, we just need a little breather, go sideways here. If we can stay above 51.3, that would be very good, because, that's one of our horizontal lines. And so everything looks okay right now. And, again, if you're day trading, you may want to take a little breather here, see which way Bitcoin breaks, because we're at a pretty large resistance line. If you're looking a little bit longer term, I'm going to go back to our other chart and just, remind you that on the monthly, we're coming out of that middle EQ line, and hopefully, again, we're going to start trending higher going into the future months here. And RSI has held the let me make that bigger, this line right here diagonally, and it's starting to ascend, so that's positive as well. So monthly, longer term, it all looks pretty good. Daily, you may want to take a little bit of a breather and just see which way things go. And my opinion is, with some of the news that's going to be coming out, we're going to continue to see Bitcoin ascend at least up to here 58.3, and then most likely the all-time highs and then beyond. So the RSI looks good. The 10-day moving average, I would say, is a little overheated, and we're challenging this very important resistance line at around 51,300. Moving on to alts and Ethereum. So in my last stream, I had talked about how 40,000, on the Bitcoin dominance, 40 would be an area of potential support. And it does look like thus far that's holding. Even though Bitcoin's down, alts are down more. And that's what I had said in my last stream, that if you're in alts, the pain can be pretty significant for short swings when Bitcoin is typically holding better value than alts, even though also Bitcoin's going down. And that's the deception from Bitcoin dominance. Just because Bitcoin dominance is going up does not mean Bitcoin price is going up. So as I had mentioned in my last stream, we may be making this W-like formation where, the next move could be up on Bitcoin, or this is just a continuation of this big move down. We had a bear flag right there, and now we're going to start, once we break that support, it's just going to fall like that. So we're definitely coming to a important point on Bitcoin dominance, and that bodes really important for Ethereum and the altcoins, because that will determine if you want to have more money in Bitcoin for this next run, or if the dominance is going to continue to fall and we're going to see potentially all-time lows as soon as we break this region down here. And so definitely coming to a point of maximum importance for Ethereum and the altcoins. And so on Ethereum, sort of the same thing. We've got Bitcoin, we've got RSI, relative strength, at a pretty good point here, around 76 or so. And we peaked out around 83 for this run. And we're potentially going to see two scenarios. So the first one would be something like this, like that, where we go booming back up. Or for those of you that are familiar with what are called double tops, you could have something like this, and then it would be pretty ugly back down. On this is on the RSI, so things can be um, things can move very quickly in RSI, even though price may not move dramatically. So, but I still think we're probably going to keep trending higher over this sequence. We'll I'm going to draw something here a little bit later, but that would be the RSI for Ethereum. And where we are right now, I would call it no man's land, because we are basically right at the 10-day average. So we're not really overheated anymore. We were when we had this move over the last 7 days, but we're sort of between these two areas of support and resistance. And I think we have to wait for for Ethereum to tell us which way it's going to break. So again, if you're day trading, there's probably nothing. I mean, if you've been in the trade for a while, there's probably nothing wrong with taking some profit and seeing which way this thing's going to go. If you're trading, again, longer term, well, as soon as we break this all-time high, which is only maybe 20% away, there's nothing up here. So sky's the limit again. And that's one of the reasons I think we're probably going to see Ethereum continue to shine as Bitcoin hopefully begins making a migration higher. And just sort of remember when Bitcoin is going sideways, not going up or down much, typically Ethereum and the altcoins are outperforming because money's flowing into that sector or section. When Bitcoin is doing really well, meaning it's going up dramatically, it tends to outperform alts and Ethereum. So the money gets sucked out of those projects and goes back into Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin, like today, is going down a lot, well, altcoins and Ethereum tend to go down more. So as long as we see some sideways chop in Bitcoin, as I was mentioning, as it tests this resistance line, I would say you have another potential move now that we've returned back to the 10-day average. Now, the way it looks like it's lining up, this week may just be a sideways type of week where things generally don't move a lot one way or the other. It's going to take some type of news event that's going to push the price higher and bring more buyers into the market. And that's a good thing if the RSI can sort of reload, we'll say, on Ethereum. Maybe it comes down a little bit and then starts making its move higher, sort of like over here where we had this period of sideways activity and then it resumed higher going into that May peak. And so I would say, again, this week is probably lining up to be a relatively quiet week. But again, there's some nice news events with El Salvador. They've now made Bitcoin legal tender in their country. They purchased, I believe the president said they've purchased 200 Bitcoin to start. And people are going to be able to transact legally in El Salvador across the whole country. And I know Paraguay has introduced some legislation around crypto technology, and we'll have to wait and see what other big dominoes will fall this week in terms of the news cycle. But I think it's probably going to be a relatively quiet week just because of where we are, where Ethereum may need to reload here. And Bitcoin is just now finally testing this first level of major resistance. And it may need a little time to bust through that. So if you see a big green candle over 51,300 and then maybe a retest, or you see multiple days where we keep testing that level, that would be positive that, that level is going to become support, and then we're going to start moving higher. Um, but we'll just have to wait and see, what's going to happen. As a reminder, on the monthly for Ethereum, pull that up. So for those of you looking out longer, remember we're coming out of this red channel. Let me get rid of this one. And it looks pretty positive that, we've held this RSI line, just to blow that up. So, that line's held, and we've got coming off of this bottom channel line, making our way hopefully up, somewhere around maybe 10,000 over the next few months. This is not tomorrow. And I would say that's a first area that we can really take a peek at and see which way things are going to move once we get to that point. And if things, one second here. Had to take a sip of water. Sorry about that. If things keep moving higher beyond 10,000 on Ethereum, then I would say this, let me make this a little lighter. This trend line will become important this white line, as we start to see challenging up to the prior highs of this cycle. So it's definitely going to get interesting on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we'll just have to play it by ear over the week here and see which way things are going to move. But nothing looks broken at this point. If anything, I think we're just setting up for the next move higher, and it just may take a little bit of time. And just remember, as we get into the end of the month with the debt ceiling, politics are going to come into play, and that'll shift the price of assets all over. And segueing into that, we're going to start talking about the market a little bit more, as we talk about different asset classes. But I just thought I'd show you this for, if many people have investments in the U.S. markets in one format or another. And, for those of you that have any interest in looking at different stocks or things, feel free to leave a comment or send me a tweet. But we've been in this channel now pretty much since the crisis of COVID. So, this was COVID, and we've basically been in that channel for a very long time, since we came out of the crash here. So let's go mid-April of 2020. So most likely that's going to just keep going until we get some major news event to say otherwise. And what I was just kind of showing here was we're in the middle of it. So if you're trading stocks, there's not a lot of momentum one way or the other. RSI is slightly overbought. We are making some lower lows on the RSI, something like that. And we need to break above those, or I think we would see a retest down somewhere in the 44.70 range, plus or minus. And if we get some positive news up, then you're going to probably start getting conversation about the S&P hitting 5,000. So, that would be newsworthy as well, just given the whole number that we'd be approaching, which it's hard to believe, but pre-COVID, we were about 3,400. And at the bottom of COVID, we were down to like 2,000, 2,200. So that's more than a double if we get up to 5,000 off the low. And if you think about what's going on in the U.S. economy, really, we don't talk politics, but I don't think it really matters what side of the aisle you're on. The only option, if you're sitting in power up there, is to spend money. And, we've got the infrastructure bill coming. Again, debt ceiling coming at the end of the month. So, and you've got a Federal Reserve that doesn't seem to care how much money they print. And so until Jay Powell, the Federal Reserve chairman, decides to either run again or be selected again or bow out, I would say we're still going to be in this channel generally rising. We can probably call this the Powell channel because every time there's been thought to pull back, he just remains very accommodative. And so I think generally we're just going to keep moving higher until there's some major event around spending. And I don't foresee anything changing under the current administration, barring some shakeup within the ranks of Congress where, we had it sort of like it was under Trump, where you had, one area of Congress, one party, and the other area, another. So I think until you see some migration there, and that bodes well, I think, for assets in the short term. We'll talk about how that is stealing time for many people globally in the long term. As many of you probably are aware, prices are going up. There's more money chasing fewer goods and services, and that's what causes inflation. And we'll just have to wait and see whether inflation is transitory or not. So that's going to cover it for today. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me a DM. And for now, this is Captain Crypto signing off. Be safe out there, stay well, and consider changing your life one block at a time. Thank you.